In this video, I'm going to use the standard routing procedure to create part 2 of our route from lunch to finish. To save time, I have created a start, finish, and gas stop waypoints and have a previous track as a template to base the route on. Item number 1, our starting point. We're not going to use the lunch stop waypoint for the start of the second part of the route. We will use the new route tool to select that point. And you can see the little tab that appeared enabled me to know that I was on that point as my start point. So we'll start out, and we're going to place the points much more quickly and you can see our gas stop right over here. We'll bring our route over to Whitaker Store. And then we'll deviate from the original track around this loop here. And you can see it didn't route us the way we wanted to go, so we can just hit Control-Z and delete that point. We'll get around that corner there. And you can see that didn't go where we wanted, so we'll put a point right there in the middle, force that. And we're close enough to the finish, so let's zoom in here and we can see the finish waypoint. And now we have our route. Let's hit escape. That detaches the tool. Next, we're going to set some times. Let's double click on our route. We're going to set a departure time from lunch. We arrived at lunch at noon, so we're going to allow an hour and 15 minutes for lunch. So that means we're going to depart at 1:15 p.m. We have our gas stop, Whitaker Store. We're going to have a layover time there of 20 minutes. Riders usually set their trip odometers on their bike and GPS to 0 at the beginning of the day, but don't reset after lunch for the second part of the route. Therefore, we're going to add the total miles from part 1 of the route to each miles route point, including gas stops and breaks. Since our gas stop is at 57.4 miles and our morning leg was 110, so let's edit this waypoint. And it's going to be 165 miles gas. And we need a point about halfway between the start and gas, which is going to be 30 miles out. There's one at 27.8 miles. Let's call that 28 plus 110. So that's 138 miles. 57.4 to 108. So we have about 50 miles. So 108 minus 25 is about 80 miles. There's 83.2 miles. That's going to be 193 miles. So now we're going to do a few things to check and finish the route. The first thing I do is name the route. I'm going to copy that name, and then we're going to go right here. We'll paste that in, and that's going to be part 2, 108 miles. And now that we have that properly named, we can single click on that. We can create a track from the selected route. Double click on it, make that bright green. Now it's time to check the points on the route. We single click on the first one, and we can see our point is properly named. We have the correct start time, and it is centered right on the route. So now let's look at some of these others. That one looks good. That one looks good. This is a waypoint for Woodsfield carryout. We don't really want a point there. So we can fix that. Select our insert tool. You can see by the gray line, it's proposing put a point between this one and the next one. So we will click and we will put a point right out here. There we are. Let's hit escape and let's select the erase tool and we will delete that point right there. Okay, so that fixes that one. We'll go back to the move tool. Okay, so we're at Oaklawn Avenue. We're centered right on the road. And then we'll start stepping down through here and you can see we have a point that's at an intersection. So we select the move tool and move it away from the intersection. There we are. Here's a point that is off of the road. It actually snapped to a creek. This is a waypoint for Fearing Township landscaping. So let's get the insert tool and we'll put another via point in there. And then we'll get the erase tool and we will delete this point. There we are. And we're back at the finish. Next, we're going to make another pass through the route point list and get rid of distracting names. So let's go down through the list here. These generic addresses are okay. And that's an intersection that's no longer an intersection. So let's just say Highway 800. And it says invalid input, so let's just put a 1 after it. And click on OK. Let's simplify that one. And we'll delete as much as we can. It says invalid input, so add a 1. Just enough to make it unique. And there's our finish. Now that we're done with positioning and naming the route points, you may have noticed that BaseCamp set some of the route points to won't alert or shaping point status. This will cause some points to be skipped by older GPS units, so we're going to convert all the route points to via points. The start and finish points are special and have automatic alert status. They can't be changed. So we click on the second route point and see that one's one that doesn't alert. And we scroll down to the last via point before the finish, and we hold down the shift key and click, And that selects all the points in between the start and finish. And then anywhere in the blue highlighted area, we can right-click and we can select Alert on Arrival. It takes a few seconds, but it converts everything to via points. And now everything on the route is either a waypoint or a via point. Now that we're satisfied with the route, we can select my part 2 of the route and create a track from the selected route. And we'll double click on it, make that track bright green. And then we can double click on the route and we can step through all the points and see everything looks pretty good. That was the gas stop. Yeah. And that's the finish. Okay, we're done. Now that we're satisfied with the route, we're going to recalculate it one more time and compare it with the track. So let's recalculate. And we'll step through here and compare it with our track one more time. And everything looks good. So let's create a brand new track, go with it, and we'll make it bright green. And you see it takes on the same name as what we've given our route. That saves us a renaming step. And we can go down here to Tour 1 Part 2. That was our reference track. And since that came from another project, I'm just going to delete that from this list. There we are. So that completes the creation of Part 2 of our standard route.